Another day, another dollar. You might not think money is something to sing and dance about, but don't worry, that's why I'm here. I'm Julie Beckham, the financial educator at Rockland Trust, and this is Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple, the podcast that takes the mystery out of money and puts the spotlight on your financial life. If you've ever felt behind, confused, or just totally overwhelmed when it comes to your finances, you are not alone. In fact, you're part of a cast of thousands. So take your seat and silence your phones as we pull back the curtain on personal finance. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Curtain Money Made Simple, our Financial Literacy Month episode. I am so excited to be here and have kind of a little mini reunion going on today. As you might or might have not known, April is Financial Literacy Month. And my guests today are former actors in the groundbreaking musical, Miss Money and the Coins, that we performed on behalf of Rockland Trust over 500 times at more than 150 schools to over 80,000 elementary school students in the greater Boston area. We performed this live over a 10-year period. Then we zoomed into classrooms during COVID, and now Miss Money and the Coins is Miss Money's Classroom. Just a 5-song, 5-lesson multimedia experience for children and families, teaching them all about saving, sharing, and spending money. So today I'm here with two of the coins, the former coins, Carol Smolinski and Mike Charles. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
This is so exciting because, I just had to back it up a little bit for our listeners who were like, what is Julie talking about? So a long time ago, far, far away, it was the year 2010, in fact, President Obama made a statement in April declaring April Financial Literacy Month and calling on all financial institutions to do community outreach to help educate the public about financial literacy. Now, talk about being in the right spot at the right time. I happened to be working at a theater next to a bank, and the bank got this message and said, hey, Julie, you're creative. What would you do to bring financial education to the community? And because of my musical theater background, and maybe because I'm part Muppet, I said I would write a musical about money and perform it in elementary schools. Well, they thought that was a good idea. So that's how Miss Money and the Coins came to be. And, we wouldn't have Miss Money's Classroom without Miss Money's and the Coins, and we wouldn't have all this robust financial education at Rockland Trust from kindergarten to senior citizens as well. So over this 15-year period, we've been doing this work, and it's so fun to have Carol and Mike here today to kind of talk about that. So, Carol, I'm going to start with you because you were my first penny. So in Miss Money and the Coins, there is this character, Miss Money, and she's a little frazzled because she has to teach the kids about money today. And she doesn't have any money, so she freaks out. And her students, Nick and Penny, calm her down and basically help her teach the class about money. So when I wrote this musical with a composer, because I am not a composer, I wrote it with Travis Ploger, so shout out to him. And he and I, wrote this music and this script, and we thought this character, Penny, should be kind of a know-it-all. And Carol came into the audition, and she did kind of know it all, and she was cast. So, Carol, tell me about your life back in the day. It was 2011. Picture it, Sicily, 1942. No, picture
My
it.
gosh.
Hyde Park, 02136. November 2011. What were you doing back then?
What was I doing? So I met you. I was just applying to graduate school at Emerson College. I hadn't found out if I had gotten in yet. I had only been married for a year. I had 0 gray hairs. And I was like, what I will do is I will channel Glinda and some sort of know-it-all nerd, and I will own this audition. And thankfully, you saw what I was going for, because I'm not sure it came out that way, but you were like, yes, this is going to be Penny number 1.
Yes. So Carol was cast as Penny, again, fresh out of college, a performer, looking at grad schools, young and eager to use all of her performance skills. And Carol, now tell me what you do for a living now.
Okay, so fascinating turn of events, everyone. I'm an accredited financial counselor now. I do still perform. I still sing the occasional gig with New England Film Orchestra and a few other local groups. But for the most part, I spent nearly a decade doing financial education programming for Emerson College after I finished my master's degree. Went to work for them full time, was doing financial wellness programming, one-on-one financial counseling, teaching people about student loans and repayment, and holding space for the rage fest that can be trying to figure out the paperwork for one's student loans. And now I'm doing some part-time gig work with a great nonprofit called College Affordable. Just started with them this season to help high school seniors go over their financial aid awards and talk about financial aid appeals, and preparing themselves financially to attend college. But my full-time gig now is full-time stay-at-home mom to the coolest little 2-year-old on the planet who refused to take a nap today. So apologies if anyone hears that.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing turn of events. So we're gonna talk about how maybe singing the tune for financial literacy might have influenced your career path in just a second. But I want to actually now switch over to Mike. So Mike, tell us where now you were not the original Nick. So there were two Nicks and two Pennies over this 10-year period, which is kind of insane. So Mike, you came in second string, but first in my heart. So tell me where you were when you started playing Nick in Miss Money and the Coins.
At that point, I had just graduated college. I believe it was at that point I had just finished my battle with cancer. As
it
well.
was Nick. I mean,
So,
it was
yeah.
Mike. Look, I still call him Nick. It was Mike.
Yeah, it was. I
Old
I
habits
took
die
control
hard.
of that character all the way through. I really
Yes.
did.
Yes. So you graduated college. You just
and-
were a cancer survivor.
Yes, I started working for the Walt Disney Corporation as a Radio Disney DJ, and that's where I met Penny number 2, who is not on the podcast right now, but that's where I met Sam. And Sam mentioned to Julie that she had a perfect person to play the role of Nick.
It was so fun. It was fun, to be able to, see what a new actor could bring to a role that had already been in place, and to see the magic was incorporated for the first Nick, but it definitely got some upgrades because I had to hold Magic Mike back from lighting his wallet on fire or doing extra tricks for the kids. Magic just seemed to pour out of his fingertips all the time. So that is so cool. And it was such a great introduction to have you as Nick number 2. But tell me where you are, what you're doing now, Mike.
I own my own business. I own my own events company. Jammin' Wizard Events Inc. is what I now do full time. I DJ, I do magic, I host karaoke, trivia, photo booths, all of it. You name it. For events, that's what I do.
I could never imagine this moment, right? I could never imagine that Miss Money and the Coins would last for a decade, that it would turn into this multilingual online educational experience for anyone all over the world, that, financial education at Rockland Trust would be this robust, and that everyone involved would, really go after their dreams so hard that this is the result. Carol, like being accredited financial counselor and helping so many achieve their dreams while being able to prioritize bringing up your 2-year-old. And Mike, like just from graduating, I kind of met you when you were like just a little kid, pretty much. You graduated from college and had all these hopes and dreams about being a full-time DJ. You're not only that, but you're a full-time business owner and operator of a multifaceted entertainment company. So I'm just giving you like a virtual high five right now because it's pretty amazing. What are some standout moments or standout lessons that from the songs that kind of apply to your life today or that are relevant in your daily lives? Carol, I'll start with you.
I feel like we learned so much from the kids about creative problem solving, and they were so on board with us. Like if our iPad died, they were clapping. They were doing everything they could to keep the beat for us. It was just, that's it for me. Is creative problem solving was a huge one that always came up for me.
Were all these problems to solve, and every single show was a different set of ideas and eyes. And I think that's what's fascinating about financial education in general is that the kids leaned in. This was before we even knew what the term lean in meant. They were all ears because they wanted to be part of the discussion about money, because money was something they weren't allowed to talk about, they didn't know about, but they saw all the time being used, whether it was in coin form, dollar form, plastic form, or now on a phone. They want to know why, how, what is this? It's magical. And so we never had an issue getting the kids' attention, because they were locked in from the moment we started singing about money. Mike, what about you? What is this? What is kind of like a takeaway song or relevant lesson that you still think about today?
Man, I vibe with Nick so hard because I'm so as an entrepreneur and business owner, you definitely have those ebbs and flows. So you really do have to sing that needs versus wants song every once in a while to really, focus in and understand what you're trying to achieve. The thing that, my biggest takeaway from it was I guess I took a couple of different things away from it, right? The takeaways for me financially were definitely the needs versus wants. I think that was such a big piece, because that is something that no matter what walk of life you're coming from, where you are, young, old, here, elsewhere, doesn't matter. Needs and wants are something that really does need to be instilled in people, and to not really have those conversations on how to differentiate those things can be really detrimental. So that was the biggest financial piece that I got from
I'm going to play a little bit of needs versus wants.
Needs versus wants. Wants versus needs. If you want your wallet to stay full, you've got to know what each one means.
Okay, I just wanted to get that in there because I think that you're absolutely right, Mike. It doesn't matter what level of a budget you're looking at. It could be, a 12-year-old saving for a bike, or it could be, a corporation's budget, right? You have to, that's a huge spread there, but you have to recognize that there are needs and there are wants. And when things get out of control, that's where that differentiation really matters and comes in valuable. But I do think it is funny because I've had parents come up to me at the grocery store and say, oh my gosh, my, daughter saw your show and they keep singing needs versus wants in the grocery store. Or we'd be packing up for the school and walking through recess, and the kids would be doing our dance and singing the song needs versus wants. And maybe the best moment in recent history is that I was just at a nonprofit in Boston teaching seniors in high school about credit and budgets. And I was introducing myself, and I said, I might have performed for you. I used to wear a green dress, call myself Miss Money, and I performed all over Boston. So it's not a fever dream if you recognize me. And this girl starts, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're Miss Money. And she's 17 now, and she remembers when we went into the Roosevelt School in Hyde Park. So it's a fascinating thing that these lessons learned early really do last a lifetime. And, I think you learn it from Sesame Street, right? You put something to a song or something funny, and you recall it, and it comes up when you're least expecting it. That earworm in your head, make it, save it, share it, spend it. It comes up. Speaking of, Miss Money's classroom got a little upgrade this financial literacy month. And not only is there an introductory video to kind of introduce you to joining the classroom, and then for lessons in songs. The fifth lesson in song is an actual animated video. So definitely, check that out and enter Miss Money's classroom to see that new and improved ending to all of the lessons. Beyond Miss Money's classroom, which again is online and free and downloadable with audio and video and multilingual, in Franklin, Miss Money's playroom is in the Children's Museum in Franklin, Massachusetts, which is an exhibit where Carol can go, and play with Miss Money, Nick and Penny, do his own lemonade stand, go into the bank, listen to the songs on little hearing devices, learn about sharing. So there's a whole exhibit in there to even start this learning and musical learning, which is really fun early. So the evolution is just, it gets actually like the more, I don't know if people are listening to this or watching the video, but like my smile is just out of this world. But it's, here's the thing is the job isn't done because financial education is so important at every level. And so I'm proud that Rockland Trust has expanded this program and makes it free and available. I'm so proud about Miss Money's Playroom and the Children's Museum. And I'm also so determined to keep financial education top of mind for teachers and families as Rockland Trust tries to fill the gap because we're not learning about it in schools, we're not talking about it at home. But, meanwhile, we're graduating folks from high school, college, trade schools without these skills. So what is something that you wished you had learned before you graduated from high school that really gosh, if you had learned it, things would be a bit different? Carol, what do you think?
I think the power of compound interest would have been more helpful for me to fully comprehend. And that goes in two directions, right? As a student loan borrower, but also as the younger you invest in whatever it is that you're going to invest in for your savings vehicles, the more time it has to grow, and how those two things can balance out much more evenly if you have the time to learn that young and to practice it young. I think that's not something I know it has improved since my time in high school. I know that they taught it in classes when I was in high school, but it was not the classes that I had either taken or chosen to pay as much attention in. And I think that's the other thing is making it timely, making it something that you can catch a 17-year-old's attention with, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old. So many folks started jobs when we were 14. How many of us got any financial literacy training, if our families weren't doing it with us? Not as many as we should. We should all be able to read an entire pay stub this very second we get a job. Some of us don't figure that out. We sign up for direct deposit. We never read the whole pay stub and we could be missing money. Things like that. But compound interest is the big one for me because I think if I had fully grasped that, I would have made some better choices as a younger adult in college. I really love where I landed, but it would have been nice to be slightly more comfortable making it there. We're all where we're at because of the lessons that we learned. But my goal now is to turn it around and teach those lessons to younger folks so that they don't have to stumble quite as much as maybe I did and the folks who came before me did. Sharing that knowledge and that wealth and making sure that they're going back and looking up things like the power of compound interest and how that can help or hurt you. So that they can then teach their younger siblings on so that everybody's just more comfortable as we get to adulthood.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Compound interest, right? If you had days and weeks to actually absorb the power, or I'll get to Mike to talk about the magic of compound interest, because sometimes I ask Mike to come into a school with me and do some magic to further explain the power of compound interest. But if we totally understood that when we were young, our choices would be so powerful in our future. Imagine the wealth creation that could happen for generations to come if they understood the power of compound interest. And like you said, in the reverse, imagine the debt they would save. So it is phenomenal. There's actually, there's a group of bankers, educators, teachers, and students, part of the Financial Empowerment Network here in Massachusetts, and we're standing together for a standalone semester of personal finance guaranteed in high school. So we're moving in that direction. in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where we really want this financial education to be equitable statewide. This work is so important. And, I'm so impressed by the little ways that it's influenced, you all. But I did want to give you, Mike, the opportunity to talk about what you wish you had been taught about money in school.
There was no how to balance your checkbook, how to look at your statements online, how to read your statements, even if it's online. How do you know where you need to put what and how to make sure that you're sustaining? You don't learn any of that. And even if you do learn it on a personal side, if you want to be an entrepreneur like myself, you don't get the opportunity to learn any of that financial stability for your own business. So unless you're learning that stuff at its fundamental, building blocks, you're not able to transplant any of that knowledge to other parts of your life.
Yeah, it's absolutely
So,
true. And it's cost saving too, because the research has been done that having this class can save you $100,000 to $127,000 in your lifetime over financial mistakes and, interest payments and all that. I mean, that's a lot of money. Lots of money. And you talk about, the power and magic of compound interest, having that money at a young age or throughout your life to be able to invest for your future. It's unreal, the possibilities, the opportunity costs that are lost during this time where we just need to know these basic skills. As advanced as the world is getting, we still need to know these basics. So it's really true. All right. Guys, we have talked for so long. Thank you, everyone, for listening and being part of this Miss Money and the Coins / Miss Money's Classroom reunion. It is such a thrill to have you, Mike and Carol.
Thank you for having us, Julie.
Oh my gosh, it's been so awesome. But before you go, I do have some rapid fire, behind the curtain, Money Made Simple questions for you. So for these, I've started with Carol this whole time. So I'm going to start the rapid fire questions with you, Mike. So you will answer first, and then Carol will answer. What is your favorite word, Mike?
Magical.
Carol?
Color.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
Carol?
No.
Good one. What is your...
Of course.
Yeah. What is your theme song, like your walk-up song if you were a baseball player?
I think it would have to be Magic. B.O.B. Rivers Cuomo.
Okay. Carol?
My brain has just seized and forgotten every song it's ever heard in its life.
Yes.
I really don't know. What would you picture as my walk-up song, Julie?
Oh, I don't know.
I think Another Day, Another Dollar.
Oh, yes.
perfect.
Okay, we're going to leave some time to play that one too.
Another day, another dollar, another lesson to teach again, another chance to make a difference. It only takes one moment to change.
Okay, awesome. All right.
What a great start to the day.
What a great start to the day. By the way, do you guys just wake up sometimes singing Another Day, Another Dollar? Because I literally do.
Like 7 years ago, I totally did. Yeah,
Now it's going to be, sorry, it's going to happen again because now it's stuck in your head.
it is. Needs versus wants is already on a loop. So
All right. So what's your most used emoji?
The party emoji.
cry laughing.
What gets you motivated to do the work you do, Mike?
The joy it brings to people. I really like performing for people because it just takes them out of the everyday struggles,
Nice. Carol?
The impact. Similar, right? But when I'm thinking about my day-to-day work, it's very much just taking the stress out of someone else's financial lack of knowledge or confusion, whatever it is they're coming to me with, and being able to say, you are not alone. You are not the only confused person. This is very confusing if you're not doing it all the time. So let's get through it together, and knowing that they feel so much more confident walking back out.
Give our listeners a challenge. What is something that you think that someone could start today that would change their financial lives?
I'm actually working this challenge right now currently. And my challenge is by the end of by the end of the year, I really want to have a just safety in my business. I want to have a safety net of $10,000 just sitting in a CD, earning its interest. It doesn't have to be, anything crazy. I just really want that money in there working for me, so I'm not having to work as hard to make those couple extra dollars here and there. I have that money already doing what it needs to be doing for me. So to give yourself a solid cushion to work for you so you can breathe a little bit easier at night, knowing you have something working for you. You're not working for everything. Yeah.
I love that. And I love how specific it is. It's time specific, it's amount specific, and it's specific to your business. And, we encourage, folks to have an emergency savings account personally. But for you, you want that in addition to your business, because that, you treat your company like it's a person too, right? Because that's what, because it is very personal to you, and you want that safety net.
Yeah, I mean, a company realistically is its own person.
Yeah.
It has its own EIN number. It has its own entity. Like, it really is. So if you are not very careful with that,
Yep.
it could crumble. So you really want to make sure you nurture what you're raising,
Awesome. I love it. What about you, Carol?
Okay, ready? Put something away. I don't care how much it is. I don't care if it's to cover a sick day if you work at a place where you're just hourly or independent contractor and you don't have sick days. Put something away. If you've already got your emergency savings, think about future you and how they deserve a vacation. They deserve to have to be able to take care of their house without having to wonder about whether or not they should slap something on a credit card because an emergency popped up. Put something away right now so that you can rest a little bit easier. You deserve it.
Preach. That's what I have to say about that. Yes, totally true. It's amazing that the power of investing in yourself. And I love that. I talk to students about that all the time. Future you is important. No one is going to take care of future you except present you. So we have to be absolutely aware in the present that we need to save for that person, because that person is so important. It's you. And so that is a great message to leave our listeners with during Financial Education or Financial Literacy Month. I am just thrilled to have this time with you. Tell us how we can find you. Carol, you're an accredited financial counselor. Tell me a little bit about that and the company you're working with currently.
Sure. So I'm an accredited financial counselor through
Me
AFCPE,
too.
the Association for Financial Planning, Counseling, and Education. Go, Julie. So you can find my bio there. It may be slightly outdated. So I will go update that before you hear this podcast. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I work for a nonprofit called College Affordable, collegeaffordable.org. They work with high schools. They are working with juniors and seniors, sometimes sophomores, to start talking about the college financing process. So if you are curious about that, about supporting, about learning, about getting your high school involved, totally look them up. They are a great, great group.
So cool. And it was so fun to see Carol at an AFCPE conference where, I was Miss Money and here comes along Penny, and we're both at the same accredited financial counselor conference, all because of this little musical that could and did.
Dancing in the selfie station spot at the conference.
Exactly.
It was great.
It's just all the fun moments. And then, Mike, please tell us how we can find you.
So you can find me at my website, jamminwizard.com. JAMMINWIZARD.com. That's also the same for my social media handles on all socials.
Awesome. This has just been so great. And of course, you can find all the financial education programs at Rockland Trust, including Miss Money's Classroom and the new Make It, Save It, Share It, Spend It animated video at rocklandtrust.com/finlit, FINLIT. Happy Financial Literacy Month, everybody. Thanks, Nick and Penny. We're going to leave you with a little bit of a Miss Money and the Coins jam as we head out here. So enjoy your Financial Literacy Month, and let's get those financial goals started. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Carol. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple. If you liked what you heard, if you learned something, subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend, because good financial education deserves a standing ovation. And remember, you don't have to know all the steps before you take the stage. You just need the courage to show up, ask questions, and maybe, just maybe, sing a little bit along the way. I'm Julie Beckham, and Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple is brought to you by Rockland Trust, member FDIC, the bank where each relationship matters, because we want you to have a healthy relationship with money at any age.